Joining me today, the great Viddal Riley, ahead of the English cruiserweight title fight at your call on Saturday night. We are into fight week, and I suppose before we get into that, what I've been dying to ask you since your last fight is what in the world changed in just 4 months to make your performance that much better the second time against Anis Taj?
I think I know I just like to learn from my mistakes. Like the first fight, he had more success than he should have had. So for me, that was like a sign to change a few things, work on a few things. Obviously, I went out to New York, done some training out there as well. So when it came to the second fight, I was like, I'm just gonna do what I should have done the first time, because I know I'm above his level, but the first fight didn't show that as much as I wanted it to, as much as I was winning. So I just said, yeah, when we have a rematch, I'm gonna just show the people and most importantly myself that you're not on that level.
Were you super keen on doing the rematch, or did you feel after the first one like, look, maybe it wasn't my most explosive performance, but I think I proved enough the first time? Or did you kind of want to make it really to make it stick and do a second one?
I was ready to I was ready to move on, to be honest. I was
Mm.
ready to move on because at the end of the day, I know it was a doctor stoppage, but it was caused by a punch. So if that would have happened to me, I don't know if he would have given me a rematch. I think he would have been happy with it and moved on. But I just didn't want him to go go to bed still thinking that he can beat me. Like even though I won, he still had enough confidence to think he can beat me. So for me, it was erasing that from his mind, and I think I done that the second time around.
And now on to Nathan Quarles, and we're talking about in terms of levels through your pro career, in terms of opponents, we're
Mm.
talking about a big jump up yet again this time around. Tell me about Nathan and how much of him you've watched and how much you've seen of him heading into this fight on Saturday.
Well, of course, I watched a lot of him. It's part of my job to study my opponent and put a game plan best suited to getting them out of there. Not just winning, but finishing them. Um, I think he's a good boxer. He's very experienced. He's got a lot of rounds under his belt. As we know, he doesn't have any KOs, so he's had a lot of ring time, which is an advantage, especially under the lights. Um, but I don't know how helpful that's going to be to him under the lights on Saturday. It's a completely different experience from boxing at home all the time to now boxing away, boxing against someone who does knock people out and is going to try and do the same thing to him. So I think he's a good fighter and he's definitely a good boxer, but we're gonna nullify that and do the job.
I saw you talking with JJ about the your call in particular. Is I mean it's a home venue, but it's a physically quite demanding venue to fight in, isn't it? Because of the heat and everything.
Yeah, it's hot in there. Everyone's close to the ring. You're gonna hear the people, no matter who's talking, you're gonna hear someone. It's a completely it can be hostile. It can be hostile in there, and I guess that's something that he's gonna have to feel. I know we got a lot of people coming to watch the fight. Of course, it's local, so the tickets have been flying, and I know after the last performance, everyone's eager to be entertained. So it's my job to do that again.
Would you call the last performance the best that you've had as a pro?
Um, yeah, 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 I would because it taught me a lot of things. Um, I landed some very good punches. I dominated the fight, but I also learned a lot under the lights. I was just the most comfortable that I've been. So, and I even got hit with a good shot in that fight as
Yeah.
well, and then ended up coming on the other side of it to finish him in the same round. So for me, it's just like, yeah, I think that would be my best performance because it was the most unexpected outcome. I think no one expected the rematch to go that way. But I just learned a lot. I think that's why I like it the most because there's so many things I've taken with me from that fight to allow me to get better again going into this one.
When I think of your career, I kind of see it as almost like two pro careers. There's like the pre-pandemic career, which is almost really the end of your amateurs. Like
Yeah,
if it weren't for the whole KSI thing, you probably would have just ended up, doing an Olympic run or so
Right.
finishing out your amateur career at that age. And then there's the post-pandemic career that started with Wilberforce Shiepo in February of last
Hmm.
year. And that's really when your pro career really kickstarted, isn't it?
I think so. I would agree with you. As much as I've had 9 fights, like the last 5 fights have been, the ones that have given me my momentum,
Mm.
seen me improve as a fighter. That's the one that's turned me into a pro. I was a pro before by title, but now it's like, okay, I'm starting to feel like a professional and understanding what being a professional boxer means. And the improvement has been great. Going for the first title, I feel like it's due. I feel like it's about time. I think it's the perfect time. I'm ranked in the top 10 in the UK right now, and almost everyone in the top 10 has a belt or is fighting for a belt. So for me to be amongst those names, it's only right I get a belt.
When you think back to those times, maybe when you turned over and you kind of think about everything that's happened in the world since, and obviously you couldn't have predicted what was going to happen
Mm.
between not only the pandemic but injuries and fights falling through. I know that in America you had a couple of fights where you would show up having been advertised for the card, and then they just couldn't get anyone who would get in the ring with you. And
Yeah.
I think I wonder when you look back on it at your age now, and obviously at the stage you're at, do you ever think like maybe I should have just held out and stayed an amateur for a couple of years, or do you think pretty much everything has kind of gone to plan as much as it could?
Yeah, no, I don't really waste time thinking about maybe I could have stayed amateur longer or anything like that. I think the journey went how it was supposed to go. I turned pro at the time when the opportunity was given to me. Very rare opportunity. Not many people can go and have a sparring session in America and then they offer to sign you at just after a 3-day trip. Do you know what I mean? So when those sort of things happen, I feel like it's you got to seize the opportunity. It didn't obviously come around in full effect to be the best thing in the end, but a lot of the connections that I made out there, a lot of the experiences I had out there was there's nothing that I would take back. So I'm happy with how the journey's gone. I feel like everything's happening at the right time.
Am I right in saying that when you got signed over there the first time, that was like you went over with JJ for like his training or something for that, and like it
Yeah.
was supposed to be like a trip all about that fight, the whole Logan Paul thing, and then it kind of very quickly turned into people in America realizing, hey, this fella is actually a very serious contender as a cruiserweight.
Right, and that's what I mean. That wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't even gonna go on the trip, but when he ended up saying to me, "Come on, man, you got raw, need you there." I thought, cool, I'll take my kit with me. If there's any work I can get out there, I'll get some. And then everything had worked out how it was supposed to be. So I can't take anything back. I have to just say, cool, that was a part of my life. That was a stage of my life. Now I've come back to the UK. This is the next part. And this is the part where I fully establish myself as one of the best in the country and then soon one of the best in the world.
And you, of course, will establish yourself on Saturday as the best cruiserweight in England at least. And I wonder, is the pace what you were hoping for? Because I remember speaking to Leon. I think it was just after the first fight back, and
Mm,
and he was kind of like, yeah, look, we'll do the whole area title thing and then move up through it and all that. And obviously, it's gone a slightly different route, but pretty much on pace as to what the plan was. I think he was saying he would have liked at the end of last year maybe if you had like an area title or something. But at
mm.
this stage, it's all pretty much the same, heading for the English title and being like a big sort of favorite in that fight.
Yeah, we don't want to skip no stages. We don't want to skip any stages. I'm not into like life hacks or any sort of things like this because I don't believe they're fully effective in the long run. So for me, it's just essential that we do the job properly. We start off at English and we move up to British, Commonwealth, European, and then world. And that's how the legends have done it. That's how the best before me have done it. And it's proven that if you don't skip levels, you're more likely to last and be successful at the top. So that's why I want to take this path just because it allows me to level check myself every time rather than, saying getting a side belt and then creeping up the rankings that way. And then by the time you know it, you're number 5 in the world and you haven't fought some of the people that you should to enable you to feel confident that now you're ranked that highly, you can take the champion at any time. And for me, if I'm ranked in those positions in the world, if I get that call to fight the world champion, then I should be ready. So the only way to do that is to go in the stages and take the steps.
I know that if you think about, you know, this fight on Saturday, I mean, I talk about your audience as well. It's a little bit different to most, obviously, a much bigger audience than like any English cruiserweight title contender I've thought of the
Mm.
last few years. But do you think that the fans that are coming in from the other world, from the music, from the YouTube, from all of that stuff, do you think they'll be surprised at like the level we're seeing in this fight? Because you are talking about two guys who, like, if you put both of your records, amateur and pro, together, you're talking about people who've been in there with the absolute creme de la creme of world cruiserweights.
For sure, for sure. And I think people are gonna grow accustomed to it. I understand I'm one of the first people, especially I'd say in this country. I know obviously Ryan Garcia abroad, but me in terms of in the UK, there's not many people that are doing YouTube and competing at a high level professionally, as boxers. You know, there's people that have YouTube channels for sure,
Yeah.
but not you know as committed to it as I am. So I think it's going to be a very good feeling to watch. You know, all the people that have seen me just making the YouTube videos before turning pro, watching my whole journey to now, they can tune into my YouTube videos the same way they always have. But now I'm an English champion, soon to be English champion, and then British champion. Yeah, I don't think you've seen it before. So it's definitely a new experience and something that I think will influence people in the future to know that it can be done. You know, my point is to prove that it can be done. And I'm on a good path to doing that right now.
I remember when I was at the Gabe and Jake fight, I asked you, and I think I phrased it incorrectly, if like you almost regretted getting involved in that whole world. But I think
Mm,
what I meant was like there was a point just after that where it's like, oh, you're going to be on the card with Jake in on the Mike Tyson card, right? And you were kind of almost, and then you were going to be on the card with Logan and Floyd, and it's like you're kind of
yeah,
veering towards a particular road that is not necessarily, I'd imagine, what you or your dad wanted when you like it's maybe not bad, you know, it would have been financially probably quite lucrative, but I get
yeah,
the impression you're not hurting for that either, going down this route. And I wonder, like, are you happy that now the distinction is very much made? Like the likelihood you're fighting, even like a Hasim Rahman Jr. is pretty slim. With the
mm,
likelihood you're fighting a Jake or a Tommy, almost nothing at this point. People don't even really talk about it anymore. I guess that like Tommy thing maybe gets brought up, but it's not really. Are you happy that now there's a line drawn where no, I'm very very serious and I will be the English champion after this weekend?
yeah. I think it's clear when you watch the fights that
Mm.
I'm not the same level as these guys. You know, so anytime conversation is brought up with me and them being compared, I mean, it's just the world we live in. People got freedom to say what they want, do what they want, and that's what they do. But I think anyone that's honest, anyone that's looking with a clear eye understands that my level of boxing and what I'm heading to achieve is way advanced of what they are doing. And I think that's why we hear less and less now about those sort of fights. You know, besides Tommy, who's obviously, as we know, he's a traditional pro anyway. He's just having a little detour. So I don't mind that one too much. But in terms of the JJs and the Jakes and all this sort of stuff, it's like I'm glad that that's been put to bed because it definitely isn't something I want to do. Um, and yeah, I just want to be respected as the legitimate fighter I am.
In terms of Tommy, it's kind of a weird one because, like, first off, just in an athletic sense, he's not really. First off, obviously not at your level in terms of how many amateurs, in terms of his pro career, but also he's not really like a proper cruiserweight. He's like he should if he was a little like his build is more of a like a light heavyweight build really, but he's up there, and I guess he doesn't really fancy trying to get down to 175 for any of these other fights. But do you think at any point he'll come back and want to pursue that type of thing? And I would imagine he would want to skip a few steps if you were available and you've got one of these bigger belts and there's a lot of money on the line. I would think he would eventually be keen on fighting, even though at the moment it looks like he's kind of he hears your name and he goes running the opposite direction.
Honestly, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like that's the best thing I can say. I don't know what he will end up doing. I don't really care either
Yeah.
what he ends up doing, to be honest. He's doing his thing and he's making his money and he's building his brand. He's living his life. He's looking after his family. And I guess that is it because all the other concerns are about Nathan right now.
Of course, and it's a fight that I think it is. I think the venue adds a little bit of intrigue to it because I don't know, like if it was on an undercard somewhere, it's in like Wembley or something. But I think it was interesting hearing you talk about how fighting in your call makes these things a little bit different than if you're fighting in a more how do I say like a I mean it's the most traditional of venues, but in maybe
Mm.
slightly less aggressive venue to
Yeah,
fight.
no, it's an aggressive venue. It's an aggressive venue because everyone's so close to the action. You got people screaming over the balconies. It's like a sports hall with a balcony. That is, it's like a sports hall with a balcony. But I like it. I mean, I boxed there when I was 11. The first time I boxed there I was 11, 11 or 12. So youll is just one of those local venues that if you're boxing in London at some point, you've been there. Do you know what I mean? Uh, and I enjoy fighting there. I'm looking forward to going back there, and I have a feeling the atmosphere is going to be lively. So I'm always down for that.
Do you expect that you're going to have to go through the rounds, get all 10 done to get Nathan out of there?
Well, then yeah, it's what it's scheduled for. It's scheduled for 10, so we train for 10. If it takes 10, then it takes 10. But I genuinely believe with how I'm performing and what I know and what I can execute, I don't think it will go 10. But I don't mind it going 10. It just means it's just a sustained attack, sustained attack. But I don't think it will go 10.
That's got to be one of the things that's impressive about Jake is his ability to at least. I mean, I guess the level of opponent matters to an extent, but to see someone do 10 3-minute rounds when they really started boxing 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like whenever you first got into it with JJ
Mm,
was when he first got into it, maybe a little bit later than that even, and to see someone then like within that amount of time going 10 rounds and relatively comfortably against like a decent enough level of opposition, someone experienced in fighting, must
of
be
course.
at least a little bit impressive as an analyst.
No, it is. It is. It's not a little bit impressive. It is impressive. I rate his dedication. I rate how much he applies himself to whatever he does, not just boxing. That's why he's successful. So, no, I respect it. I do respect it, and I don't think it's anything to belittle because it's him. People get in the habit of uh belittling people who achieve the same thing as someone else, but don't give them the same amount of credit. I'm not really into that. If you done it, you done it. You achieved it. You deserve the credit for it. No one should adjust the reward based on who you are if the credentials are the same.
How far do you think he can take this? I know you're looking at world titles and everything. When you look at him, like I think when you were there in the flesh for his first couple of fights, he probably looked even better. He probably looked at times better than he looks now. Like a lot of people say that. Like when he fought Gibb, people say there was probably better technical boxing and stuff that he's shown in some of these other fights. But do you think he's got any sort of like a legitimate future? After these sort of fights with MMA fighters and all that.
It's not something that I can see. It's not something that I
Mm-hmm.
can see right now. Um, I mean, he put in his mind to it. He's going to try, and he's going to give it a good shot as well. Whether he's successful at that, I don't know. I doubt it right now. I can't see it right now, but I don't like to, tell people what they can and can't do. Um, but yeah, right now it doesn't seem like that will happen.
So what's next? I guess you were saying that all the focus is on Nathan right now, but I like it's pretty much stay as active as you've been because I think nobody expected this amount of activity after how long you were out for all these different reasons, and then it's like
Mm,
bang fights fairly regularly. I think five in the last year and a half. Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
So
So
is,
we've
is the
we've
plan
been
stay as active and move up towards then the sort of the Commonwealth and European and everything and moving that traditional route?
defo. We want to stay active. We want to keep the momentum. Um, we got quite a bit of momentum right now after the June performance. So we want to keep that going. We want to keep improving. I want to keep having different types of opponents just to show people how versatile I am and how many different styles I can get down. And Nathan is bringing something different to the table. And I can't wait to show people how I can get rid of him.
Boxers. Oh, you think you do get rid of him? You think you're not gonna have to do all 10?
Oh, I said that.
Yeah, he's. I mean, look, he's definitely durable, right? But he's also not someone who's. I mean, I don't think there's much of a threat of you getting knocked out, is there?
Listen, is when you're in the ring with someone weighing the same amount as you and they got gloves on, there's always a chance. There's always a chance. I don't disregard that. I don't take it for granted. Despite his track record not showing that, it doesn't mean anything. I just know the way I train. I just know the way I prepare, and I know what we're planning to do. So with that game plan in place, I would be surprised if he sees the distance, but I don't mind it as long as I leave the you're cool with that belt, then I'm a happy guy.
Seems to me that the sort of the deal you have with Boxer at the moment, it seems like the kind of the match made in heaven in terms of promoting fighter. Like they get you, like obviously you've got strengths outside of the ring too with your
Mhm.
following and doing your TV work and everything like that, but also they're putting you in very legitimate spots on very legitimate cards and sort of building you and they're maintaining your brand in the other world and also bringing you into the right fights in the professional boxing world.
Yeah, no, boxer have been amazing for my career. Like as I said, all the progression that I've made, I have to give credit to Sky Sports. I have to give credit to Boxer because I think more and more now as I perform naturally, you can see okay, this guy's getting better. He's it's exciting. People are wanting to see the fights. The views alone show that people want to see my fights. So I think there's a good synergy right now. I'm giving them something worth promoting, and they're definitely doing a great job promoting it. So as long as we're both keeping up our ends of the deal, I think it will continue to be a great partnership.
I think I've spoken to you in the interim since, but I've never got around to asking this. But how frustrating was that first fight back after you put him down, and then
Yeah,
you must have thought the finish is coming here. And fair play to him, he managed to shell up and get himself to the end of the six.
yeah, no, that was a frustrating one because at the time I didn't understand the art of, finishing an opponent. So I hit him with a good shot. It was kind of like out of the blue, and then I thought I could force the finish. But as we could see, the finish was getting further and further and further away. So since then, I've learned, okay, right, I do want to get people out there. How am I going to do it? And that's what I've been focusing on. And the results show that.
How many interviews have you done so far today?
This is the first one.
This is the first one. So
Yeah,
I want to prepare you for 50 more times being asked this question this week.
okay.
What is your prediction for the 14th of October?
I ain't giving any predictions. I'm not doing no predictions. I've been telling everyone no predictions. I'm not going to do any predictions until after my fight's out the way and I pay more attention to it.
You spend some time around JJ a bit more now. Do you think he seems like as confident as ever, despite the fact this is a monster step up in opposition.
Yeah, that's how he is. That's how he is. All the doubt makes him more confident. So the more everyone doubts him, the more confident he gets. And that is how he operates. That is his fuel that gets him up in the morning. That's what makes him dangerous. So I'm not surprised to see him confident, motivated, because that's what he hopes for. He hopes to be the underdog.
From when you worked with him, it's like it seems as though he like this comeback. He's never been the underdog. It's always been fights. We all knew he was beating all of these guys. Even Fournier. Anyone who knows boxing knew he was beating them, fairly handily. I know people they sold it pretty well as he's a real proper pro, but Fournier a little bit different. But it seems like he really relishes the underdog role, and that's when we see him actually at his best, his most motivated, and obviously this is a much bigger underdog role than even when he fought Weller the first time and Logan the first and second time as well.
Yeah, this is the biggest challenge for him. This is the biggest challenge for him so far, and it's only right. It's only right. I think his opponents have got better. This is a big jump, but he's trying to prove a point, and he's daring to be great. So I think we should all just admire that fact. He hasn't been boxing that long. He's willing to take the risk to get in there with someone who's been boxing a lot longer than him, a lot more experience. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
You're very focused on September 30th and that big fight. I wondered though, did you get to catch the fights on Saturday night, the Misfits ones?
I saw a few of them. Yeah, I saw a few of them. I haven't watched any in depth. I've just seen like the
Yeah.
tweets, just a couple of the tweets.
conspicuous in his absence from Idris's call out post fight was your pal Leon. He didn't get called. He doesn't seem to want that smoke.
I don't think Leon's gonna fight, man. They ain't gonna offer Leon enough money to fight, man.
I mean that rivalry's been around a while though. I think if he's gonna do
It's
one, it
hardly a
has to be.
rivalry. It's hardly a rivalry. I think people are squeezing rivalries out of nothing these days,
No, come
just
on. Have
for
you ever heard them talking to each other?
entertainment.
Leon
Yeah,
hates him.
there's no rivalry. It's like saying me and Nassim Ratman have a rivalry. Like we don't have a rivalry. There was just a period in time where we was talking, and then people try to say me and Tommy have a rivalry. There's actually no rivalry. It's just a period in time where you go back and forth, and then everyone moves on with their life. Rivalry is something I think a bit deeper than that. You know, anyone can talk to anyone on socials these days. I can't call them my rival just for a few back and forths.
Would Leon beat him or no? Even now.
Of course, I have to back my guy.
Was Anis Taj a rivalry? Would you say?
Yeah, it was. I think if the second fight was closer, I think it would have become a
Yeah.
rivalry. Yeah, I think the second fight prevented it from hitting rival stage. But definitely if that one was close or it was like I won by 2 points or something, and then the first win was on cards, and then it would definitely have developed into a rivalry. But I think just before it got to that stage, I just put a nail in the coffin.
Was there any point where it was personal after the like?
No, no,
Not even
no, no,
him,
no,
but
no.
like the reaction. I'm sure like
No,
no point where you were like, this guy's actually getting under my skin and annoying me,
no. And
or
he,
the
no,
situation.
nothing personal, nothing personal. Um, like I really respect him. I like him as a person. I really respect him. I appreciate how he helped promote the fight and how he got people interested in the fight. I never took anything that he said to heart. I was never truly offended by anything. I just was happy that I had someone to go back and forth with and help sell the event, and he done that. So nothing personal at all. And actually, yeah, I like him. He's
Well, this rank, I mean, you've had some great accomplishments as an amateur, and in your pro career, you're moving towards this. Will this be the best moment of your boxing career on Saturday night?
um one of one of. Um,
So
I
far, I
don't think.
suppose, because there's going to be world titles eventually.
Yeah. It'd be one. It's one of the best for sure. Because it's been it's not been a straightforward journey to get here, but I've achieved a lot, especially as an amateur. I achieved a lot as well. Some of those experiences are yet to be topped, but this is going to be up there for sure.
What did you think of my friend? Do you know who the fan is?
Yeah, but I don't know much about him. I just see his Twitter.
Did you see his claim that because you beat Dubois in the amateurs and Dubois and Usyk, did you see his whole correlation that I think it was like you or JJ would beat Usyk or something like that?
No, I don't think the fan. I don't think the fan speaks much sense. I try not to indulge in his content.
Do you indulge in any of that Twitter stuff, or no? You kind of keep yourself to yourself and focus on
Yeah,
your
man,
fights,
I'm
your own
not
stuff.
into the. I don't know. People get the perception because I do a few reaction videos about, crossover boxing and that I'm online waiting for the next T. I'm not really waiting for the next T.
Well, of course, I feel that you've got a lot going on, so I think you probably don't have time to be focusing on what's going on Twitter and Instagram, all the
Exactly,
nonsense.
exactly. I'm not focusing on that. I focus on what I'm doing and just try and complete my missions. And then anything that I see. Uh, anything I'm genuinely interested in, I'll check. But besides that, I'm not doing the online searchings.
So finally, Vidal, what's your final message to the viewers who are tuning in on Sky Sports on Saturday, and what can they expect? What round can we expect to see this guy knocked out in?
I'm not giving around. I'm not gonna give around. Just expect to be entertained. Expect to see pain, and yeah, everyone will have a great time. Just whether you're watching at home, whether you're there live, I hope that it's an experience for you. And next time, you want to bring your friends because yeah, they missed out.
Viddal Riley, thank you very much for your time, and I can't wait for hopefully our post fight interview being with the new English champion. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate
Cheers.
it.